A little too much time in airports and airplanes. And I was on one of those rides. It was a Friday night. I want a little empathy here from you. I've set you up for this. I'm hoping to get a little from the crowd. It was a Friday night. I was tired. I got on an airplane from somewhere. I don't even remember right now where it was. But I do remember this. I got a little bit lucky that night. Every once in a while, because I fly a lot, they bump me up to the big seats up front that are a little wider and a little more comfortable and a little more legroom. And for me, a little more legroom is a really nice thing. It was one of those nights. I had one of those big comfortable chairs. I settled in. It's a Friday night flight, which means there are a lot of businessmen and businesswomen that are coming home, and they all look a little tired. And please understand, there's a certain quietness to the Friday night flights that's not common on some of the others. It's a special quality based on fatigue. And I was feeling some of that. I got into my chair, I settled in. There was this really nice, lovely, articulate woman next to me, maybe about 45 years of age. And we did the typical airplane talk. What do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? Do you have a family? Do you have a family? We shared a little bit about that. Then we settled into our seats. The plane took off. I thought, oh, this is going to be lovely. I'm going to sit back and read my book, or maybe even take a nap. Do I have any empathy yet? When all of a sudden she turned to me, I had told her what I do. And she turned to me and she said, "Can I talk to you about my 20-year-old son?" And of course I said, yeah. Her 20-year-old son, she said back in middle school, he was really a very motivated student, maybe not such, he was a smart enough kid, but maybe not such a dedicated student. And you know, they had a hard time getting him to study, so she would sit with him almost every night and organize him and study with him. And sometimes she would kind of help out a little bit with his assignments because, you know, she wanted him to be happy and she wanted him to be successful. And so there was that one little problem with the school where he got into trouble that one time, but they hired a lawyer and they came up and they dealt with that, and they made sure that nobody was too mean to their beautiful son. And they got him through that little experience. Then he got up to high school and he seemed to get even a little bit less motivated in high school. And sure enough, you know, he was just getting B minuses and C pluses and just barely enough to get to by, but she sat with him and she helped him and she organized him and she worked with him and she checked up on him and she made sure that she talked to his teachers, and sometimes she got him extra time to do an assignment and sometimes she got him a chance to retake a test, and she, you know, she's his mother and she loves him and she really did everything that she could. And there was that one little problem with drugs and the law. There was that little problem. But you know, once again, they hired one of Jeffrey Feiger's good friends and they got him out of that kind of trouble. He eventually graduated from high school with a fairly poor GPA. But did you know that in America, even with a fairly poor GPA, you can get a kid into college? If you have enough money and you're willing to pay the tuition, you can get a kid into college. And sure enough, they got him into a nice little school and he went off to college. Well, please understand, for several years now, he's had this beautiful little cell phone with a nice little text plan, and he's well-traveled and he's well-dressed. And he didn't have a job the summer before college because they didn't want him to have too much stress. They wanted him to be calm and ready for college. And when he went off to college, they got him a brand new lease car because they didn't want him to have to worry about cars breaking down and all of that kind of stuff. And so, you know, they wanted to make sure that he was going to have a good college experience. He went off to college. And now, for the first time in his life, mom is not around to kind of keep an eye on things. Well, she tried in her own way. She put his college schedule up on the refrigerator and in her planner. And she said she would set her planner so that 45 minutes before every one of his classes, because she loves him, she would call him up and remind him that he should wake up and go to class, and don't forget about your assignment. She kept track of all those things as much as she could for him because she loves him so very much. Well, they talked every day because she was calling him to remind him about class. And he said everything was going fine. He's great, you know, college is good, life is good, he's getting good grades, he's doing good work. Well, apparently the truth was something different. He had discovered what I call the alternative college curriculum. Some of you know about the alternative college curriculum. Well, for him, the alternative college curriculum was sex, drugs, and video games. And apparently that was much more interesting than going to class, because he failed to go to most of his classes and he flunked every single one of his classes. When he came home in December, he had failed every class and the university had disinvited him. You are no longer welcome to come back. Not even probation. You are not welcome back. Oh, he was so sad. He still had that beautiful little cell phone with the texting plan. I have an old-fashioned phone. How about you? He still had that nice lease car. He still had those beautiful clothes. They didn't want him to be too stressed. So he settled in around the house. He didn't have to get a job. January, February, March, April, May. Hey, finally, by summertime, they said, let's get you enrolled in a community college class. We got to get you back on track. And sure enough, because mom is here and dad is here and we're taking good care of you, we'll make sure you get through your community college class. And they did. He got a passing grade and they said, okay, let's try that college thing again. They found another college that was willing to accept their money. The next fall, off they went again. And once again, he discovered the alternative curriculum. We were talking in January, and her son had just come home at Christmas time, having flunked out of his second university. And she turned and she looked at me and she said, what should I do? Turn to an interesting, intelligent-looking neighbor and give a really intelligent response to that question. Ready, set, go. You have 1 minute. All right, let me draw you back from your conversation. And now the question is, who found a really intelligent neighbor that had a good answer? Wow. I am impressed looking around the room, because guess what? Sitting on that airplane on a Friday night, listening to her story, I don't think I found a great answer for her. What I wish I could say is, let's go back to when that kid was 2. That's what I wish I could say. I could probably tell her how to reclaim the position of being the adult authority figure in her family and how to begin a little bit of a tough love program. And I guess we talked about that. But is this kid already somewhat damaged socially and emotionally? Does he already have the expectations of entitlement? Is he a whiny, ungrateful kid? Is he one of those kids who treats other people with indifference? Is he one of those kids that expects good things to come to him even without effort? Is he one of those kids you'd want to date your daughter? Oh, I have 3 daughters and I don't want him dating any of mine. I wish I could take them back to when this kid was so much younger and start to put all the pieces together the way they're really supposed to come together.